if you are in your strategy and authority in the right place with the right people in the right timing, there's no way that scarcity is a thing. There's no not being taken care of. You will have everything that you need.
Welcome to the Holistic Career Change Podcast. Spoiler alert, we don't discuss conventional, linear, boring career change here. This is the place where we talk about finding an aligned career path that feels like an extension of who you are, where you get paid for being yourself. Forget personality quizzes, soul-crushing scrolling on job sites, and breaking your brain trying to find your why. Join me and many other career changers who've changed their career holistically by first defining who they are at their core and then using this blueprint to design a fulfilling career or business. We use the mind-body-soul approach, and we take into consideration the complexity and multidimensionality of all that you are and want to represent in the world. This is where purpose-led careers are born and built. I'm your host, Vilma Oseita. Let's go. Hi, friends. Hope you're all fabulous. Oh my goodness. I am so excited to share today's episode with you because I got a chance to sit down and chat with my human design mentor and someone who I really admire and have learned so much from, Kat Smith. Kat is a certified human design guide. She's also a shamanic practitioner and she has so many other titles. But above all, I think what she's been really passionate about, especially lately, and what I truly believe she excels at is being a powerful human design initiator. And Kat has spent over 12 years facilitating all kinds of different transformational spaces. But the last 6 years, she's been radically experimenting with human design. She's certified through the International Human Design School. And what I found especially fun, she's been really coming up with amazing ways to help people to really understand the essence of human design and experiment with human design. She even created the first ever human design co-living container in Portugal. But I feel like what makes Kat unique is not just her credentials, but is how she role models this peaceful power and shows what's possible when you truly live your design. And when it comes to my experience or our connection, for years I had heard about human design being in this healing space, but I would just check it out and never felt too connected to it. And that is until I met Kat, because she wasn't just teaching the concepts, she was living them as a 4/6 emotional manifester. It was her frequency, and as she beautifully explains in our conversation, her clean crystal that finally unlocked human design for me. And I'm so thrilled to share her with you today. And we'll be chatting about why human design sometimes can feel inaccessible, just like it did for me for so many years, and how to cut through the confusion, especially when it comes to all the information online. We talk about how each energy type can build aligned businesses, or what are some of the career directions and business ideas that they might be looking at. We'll also chat about your decision-making authority and how it actually is so much more important than knowing your incarnation cross. Again, something that Kat is very passionate about. We'll also chat about just practical ways in which generators could use their sacral authority in business decisions, or how manifestors can impact without needing to be forceful, and why manifestors don't need to actually be finishing everything that they start. We'll also talk about the role of projectors as guides and why they're not meant to work like generators, something that I really enjoyed her say. Also, we'll talk about why looking at incarnation cross too early can actually hurt your human design journey. And that's, I feel like, something that not a lot of human design teachers will emphasize or talk about. And we'll also chat about the signs that are showing that you're living in conditioning versus living your authentic design, and why your strategy and authority really removes scarcity from your language and from your life and from your business. And of course, we'll talk about how to use human design not as this sort of elevated, mystical concept, but as a daily practice, versus just another mind candy, which again, I feel like a lot of us have been guilty of. And there's obviously so much more. It's a little bit of a longer episode, so I'm gonna stop babbling here. But I will say, if you are completely new to human design, or perhaps you are a seasoned human design connoisseur, I do encourage you to listen to the episode till the end, because I feel like all of you can find these beautiful nuggets that could initiate you into human design and would allow you to have those aha moments, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what I feel like Cat's energy does to all of us. And if you'd like to learn more about Cat's work, make sure that you check out the episode notes. You'll have all the links there. And make sure you give her a follow on Instagram at Lady Cat the Magnificent. Again, the link is in the show notes. Enjoy the conversation. Hi, Cat. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
so nice to be here.
I know. I'm so excited. I mean, those who know me or have been around me or worked with me, they know that I talk about you quite a lot, because you've been that person who really unlocked human design for me. Because for the longest time, for years, I've been in this, self-help healing industry for like over a decade at this point. So I would always hear about human design, but it felt like I never had access to it. So you were the key, when I met you, the key for me to really start understanding this mysterious world of human design. And I feel like one thing that really worked for me, and it could be different for everyone, is that you were a fellow manifester and you were not like teaching it. I saw you living it. And that's how I believed you and trusted you with my own energy, and chose you like as a mentor, as a teacher. And I wanted to be around you to almost like soak up this experimentation that you've been living in for like what now? Nearly 6 years, I suppose, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 5.5. Yeah, pretty close. The years do keep flying by now. Wow. That's a really cool reflection. Thanks for sharing that to start with. The first thing that comes into my head is that is what I'm designed for. Isn't that funny?
Wow,
really? So for me, I am a 4/6 profile. And so the 4, if you don't know already, is the networker, is the communicator, is the friend kind of energy. And then the 6th line body is the role model. The 6th line is really here to live it as the teacher. In between those two profiles, there's the 5. And the 5 is what Ra Uru Hu was, the actual teacher, the preacher kind of energy. And so, that's just a really cool recognition, because that's me living my design. Me living my design is me role modeling what is design. And here we are.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Now that you said it. Amazing. Could you also, maybe before we get into that, because I'm already sensing we're going there, could you maybe briefly introduce yourself, whatever you feel comfortable with sharing, so people, maybe those who don't know about you, would understand where you're coming from, your background, and just, your values?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow. Let's see. Well, I guess I like to share with people that much like you, I have been in this personal development, spiritual, expansive space for a really long time. My journey actually began in my teens. I did my first big, cathartic experience when I was 19. And since then, I really have done most things. I mean, I'm 44 now. So that's a long time. What it feels like. I spent my early 20s doing Vipassana retreats, and I did a lot of breathwork stuff. I've done more than a decade sitting deep plant medicines. By the time I found human design, I was already running my own modality, running my own business, very successful, doing the teaching people me, which is so funny now, because human design found me, and as it unstuck me, as it opened my awareness, I realized I was in my career, in my chosen, I was teaching people to be me, and people aren't me. People are completely unique. And so part of my journey, part of my human design journey within the first year was that my career crumbled. That what I had built, I realized was not going to work. And in fact, kind of a lie. Yeah.
That
Does
must
that
have
make
been a
sense?
lot. That must have been
Oh
like,
my
I would
God.
imagine, right as death, right as grief, is who am I kind of situation.
Totally. So human design found me. And as I say, it actually found me at a deep breathwork retreat, of course. And I don't know, like I'm not actually here to investigate or to deep dive or to do the like nerd out, like human design is such a deep knowledge. You can learn it, the details of it forever. But it's obvious in my design, again, that I'm not here for that. And I was really fortunate to be introduced to human design by a projector who was nerding out about it. And I invited him into my life. And he basically showed me, guided me, pointed out, hey, see how that happens? That's because of this. And he's still doing that for me. So credit where it's due, recognition to my projector. Thank you, Eric. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I want to speak a bit more to those early days because for me, I feel like it is fascinating and interesting for people to hear that. I mean, human design can impact you at any stage of your development, of your awakening, or however you want to call that. I don't really like that word, to be honest. But I find it specifically interesting that there's still something to learn, that there was still something to learn for me. Because if you had asked me after 20 years of deep diving into who am I and, all is love and I'm a Zen bitch, I was all the way there. And like, you get it. And then human design came along and I went, whoa, there really is something else going on here. And yeah, that was my first couple of years were really just this unraveling of everything. Yeah. And there's a slippery slope to feeling the most peaceful I've ever felt in my life. So that's what happened.
I love so much about what you said there. So many things. I feel like just maybe a comment because when you and I worked together, so Kat was sort of mentoring me, helping me out a little bit. I feel like even in the way that you do that now, when you're talking, I'm like, oh, you did that as a 4/6. You mentored me in a way that you would probably learn, which is me as a 5/1 and having a 1, which again you taught me to accept because I was very resistant. Where I'm like, I'm not investigating. Oh. And you were like, look at how many questions you ask me, like nonstop, right? For me, I was like, oh, it needs to be structured, it needs to be this, because at first I need to understand the lay of the land, and then I'll go off as a 5, and then I'll be like, okay, I know what's happening, right? And I feel like for you it was more like experiential of like, just ask me questions and then I'll feel it out and I'll kind of, channel whatever needs to come through me. So that explains a lot as well, how you learn.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, the biggest difference actually between you and I is our authority.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what you're speaking to a little bit there is my feeling it out, my emotional authority, which for your listeners is half of the population. And then splenic or not emotional is the other half. So that's a very different manifester. That's a very different process. Yeah, we are wildly different. That is for damn sure. We all are. I mean, that is what human design is here to bring, right? It is the science of differentiation. How are you unique? And it absolutely is not for any of us. No, anyone in human design worth their salt is never going to say, hey, do it my way. That just to really get that. Like, we are not teaching you, look, I found my way, which is the way. That is such a contradiction to what human design really is. Human design is the map. I can teach you the details of your map so that you can find your own way. Your truth is in there, and I certainly can't be the one to tell you what that is. Which is really powerful, right? Like, I don't know. I teach you the knowledge, you find it yourself.
I love that. And I feel like you embody that so beautifully, the essence of it. But I find like I found teachers who don't necessarily do that. Like you and I, talked about certain channels perhaps people have where they are maybe a little more forceful with their truth and talking about it. And I feel like, I am a big fan of astrology. I've had astrologists on this podcast. I study a career astrology myself. And I feel like even in astrology, it still can be quite dogmatic of like, well, this is kind of like your path, or this is your gift, this is your trauma this lifetime, right? So they tell you what it is. So I think that's why
I'm so off that. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I'm like, fuck that. No one can tell you who you are.
One question that I had for you for the beginning of the podcast was because I looked, I also had your course, access to your course, and I kind of looked through how you teach, and you teach in a very unique way. And I wanted to ask you at the beginning as well is how do people perceive you, and what can they expect in the way that you show up when you talk about human design or teach human design or share about human design?
Wow, that's a cool question. Wow. What can they expect? Wait, say it again. What can they expect? How do I teach them?
Yeah, it's like, how do people perceive you? Because I feel like, again, because we are quite different, I perceived you in a very, like, the way you teach or show up and talk is very unique. Like sometimes where you would be like, oh, you allow yourself to pause and think, which is something in the world not, teachers wouldn't allow themselves to do, especially at the beginning of their path, because they assume that people want them to know everything.
Wow, I love your questions. They're so unique to you. This is so fun. So, I mean, you kind of spoke to this right at the beginning with this role model stuff that I've got going on. I mean, I'm not sure. So two things. Maybe I just start wherever I start. Now I'm doing an example of it. I don't know the answer. So my design is so open. There are 9 centers in our body graphs, and I have 7 of them wide open. That means 7 places where I am taking in life, and there is nothing sure, nothing constant, nothing consistent. And I mean, what you're speaking to right there is my head and ajna. I don't have any definition up here. So if you ask me a question, I'm going to have to go, ooh. I mean, if I start pretending that I have the capacity, the consistency in my design, that I know everything or that I'm certain about anything, I'm lying. Like that's what human design has. I'm not built for that. That's not my jam. I have emotional awareness and I have knowing and I have a bunch of other stuff that's amazing that supports my people. But I'm never going to sound certain. Never going to pretend I know. That's me living my design. And I just, it's funny, I'm so in it that I can't even tell that would be weird for a beginner. They hear me teaching and I go, yeah, I don't know. But I've been doing that a really long time, and it's true. And it's the frequency of that truth that is actually teaching people. It's not what I've got to teach you. Right?
I love that. And that's so healing to hear for many undefined beings, especially with the ajna or the head, because they live in the world where we need to know the answers. They grew up where they were told what's right or wrong, or there's a correct way to do things, and you need to know that. I feel like on my path working with career changers, I find that all the time. And now that I weave into more human design when I share about like, oh, you're not meant to know, right? They're like, what do you mean?
It's very confronting, isn't it?
It's so confronting for people. Like, what do you know?
Yeah, I mean, the other piece that's popping up there is also emotionality. So half of us have an emotional authority, which is very unacceptable in the world, in the corporate space, even in our families. The emotional center needs a hell of a lot of time to decide anything. Now, I mean, I have an interesting story I've shared before about this, where like when I have worked in corporate, 20 years ago, 20 years, yep, I'm right. God, that's how old I am. 20 years ago, sitting around the boardroom table, like being in that space. And I worked actually in a really male-dominated industry. And I remember training myself because I was coming off like an indecisive woman, I remember training myself to just choose an answer. You don't think about it, just choose an answer, because that will make me be perceived as more powerful. Like, that was a real hack that I had to implement in my life to progress in my career. And yeah, like, what an actual crock of shit, honestly. Like, I'm not here to make a decision in the moment. It's never going to be the right decision if I'm spontaneous, and it's going to bring me a whole lot of pain. And whoever I'm dealing with is going to have to deal with that pain as well. Like, that's what human design has taught me in that regard. You're free to unpack that and make sure it's digestible to your people, won't you?
No, I love that so much. I can sense, when I tune into the collective of people who listen to the podcast, how healing it is to hear something like that of someone who not only, again, preaches it, but actually lives it now. And I feel like with the knowing, and having, oh my goodness, now a lot, I feel like I'm tuning into your energy now, where I'm like, who am I?
Emotionality is starting to kick in. Take a breath.
Oh yeah, the emotionality. Oh yeah, thank you. Exactly. Yeah. Wow, that was powerful. It doesn't happen to me often. Wow, that's really interesting to experience. I forgot about this. I feel like I started.
Yeah, I mean, real life. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like taking this moment, like, this is real life emotionality. It sort of knocks us sideways. With someone who has an opened, you are open in your emotional center. When my emotion starts kicking in, and I don't mean emotion like crying or angry or whatever, I get my emotionality is actually passion. So you're asking me about what I'm passionate about, and I'm dropping bombs on you. And so, yeah, you're like, whoa, 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 because that's just energetically not what you're built for.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's exactly that. Because I'm usually quick and sharp in the way that, like, I go through life, and I want to ask you about that. But yes, I started experimenting more with emotionality with my clients. And so, as you know, as you say, go through a more career coaching is quite career change coaching. It can be quite, we have feminine, but we have masculine, because you're building, right? So in itself, I'm changing, I'm building. There's a lot of like dreaming and feminine energy, but when it comes the time to maybe launch a business, we do step into the masculine. And before I was more familiar with the design, I would be surprised how certain people would take longer to make decisions, or like they would be in my presence, and we can talk about the defined ego center. They would be in my presence and they'd be like, oh, 100%, I will definitely do that. I'm so excited. This is happening. And then it would take them weeks to come back and say, oh yeah, I haven't done anything. It didn't feel right. And I'll be so confused by that. And then when I started weaving in, oh, you're an emotional being, please take your time. There is absolutely no pressure. You can totally come back in the next session and say you completely changed your mind. And like, there is acceptance and space for you to do that. I feel like that really was a big game changer for me dealing with emotional beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the you can change your mind. Oh, that is music to my ears. Honestly, that's something that you just, without this knowledge, that's very difficult to find. Like, people who are emotional do need that time and space. And I guess, wait, there's a bit more here. Like, they need that time and space because our awareness is the deepest awareness. We have got the most awareness, and that's a superpower. That's actually amazing. When we start saying these things like we're indecisive and we can't be spontaneous and we have to take our time and we need all this kind of cushioning, it starts to sound like disempowering. It starts to sound like, we need to baby them. We need to be, protect them because, like, maybe something is wrong with us. And I want to be really clear that that is not the case. What we're doing is taking our time to nurture the superpower of our awareness, which is the deep, and knowing in a way that there is no other way to have that knowing. Splenic awareness is in the moment, and then we have conceptualized awareness, the awareness of the mind, which is pros and cons. The emotional awareness tells us things that we can't possibly understand. Like, it really is. It's almost like, it really is almost kind of an alien skill. And if you treat it right, it provides. It's something that is really, really valid and needed. and valuable. People pay for that. It's amazing. So yeah, I just sorry, I have this little. It's so obvious to me. Even currently, I've been more than usual because I've just come back to Australia. I've been more than usual bumping into people who don't know human design. And of course, my voice just speaks freely and doesn't know and says, I don't know yet. Oh, really? No. Like I realize people think I'm flaky. I'm like, I'm not fucking flaky. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to boss the shit out of this. Just give me a sec, That's interesting to have that people perceive me that way. Yeah. And, not everybody does, but yeah, that is a conditioning we have, that if you have to take your time, you're not powerful. Right?
Amen to that.
Not true. 100%. Not true. Not fucking true.
I do feel like, because I don't have that emotionality, I do see that as a superpower because, again, I've been experimenting with some of my clients and they did say that was such a game changer for them to like just make decisions and give themselves space to like sleep for a week if they decided that's what they needed. Whereas in the past, they would never let themselves do that. And now I'm also recording today another podcast with an emotional projector. And we literally were checking in, just like with you, with Kat as well. We were checking in when is the right time to record if she feels like it's a yes. We did the same with my client. And then I woke up this morning, found a message. She was like, I think it's a yes. I think we can record, right? And for her, it's so, yeah, again, she still works in corporate. So for her, it's so healing to allow herself to give space. And she said it really shifted. Like she just shows up so differently in all areas of her life right now. So for me, it's beautiful to see. Yeah.
It's the timing. Timing is everything for an emotional being. And what we're actually cultivating in that slowness is potency. Like I can really tell that if I've been running around all day and not taking my time and pushing and hustling, then I'm going to jump on a call like this or any kind of place where, I'm showing up and I'm going to come off, not nearly as potent as if I have allowed myself to really be in the right timing. I'm in the right timing and then I show up and the right thing happens. It's potent. I really do think that's the right word for it. That emotional awareness is powerful and potent. Has to be treated right though,
Yeah. And again, it's different, right? For each of us, for our designs, for our authorities, like we need to find what that looks like. And then we'll always end up in the right environments around the right people saying the right thing, whatever that is. I love that so much because I feel like, to your point, to be honest, I don't attract a lot of so I don't have half of my clients who are emotional. I mostly attract non-emotional clients, probably because I am not one. I would assume, I don't know, they just vibe, non-emotions vibe with me more, I guess. And I've been getting quite a lot of feedback from my clients in the way that they perceive me lately, because probably I was studying myself through human design lens as well. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think people should know about me and my energy when they are thinking whether they should enter this energy field?
Oof, nice. Are you ready for this?
Am I ready for this? Let me put the seatbelt on.
I mean, I bet you have reflections of when I first saw your chart. And I mean, you're a powerhouse. You're a straight up powerhouse. You're a shocking transmitter. That is a true essence of leadership. Yeah. Leading the tribe, shocking them. Yeah. And those are your three main channels. That's the keynotes for them. Yeah. And I guess also to say that you are quick. You're splenic. So you're quick. You're in the now and changeable. You can turn on a dime. The very, very opposite of the emotional authority, where it's now. And those nows can change. But yeah. I mean, for you, you know this already, but it is. It's super interesting. I love the spleen. I'm fascinated with the spleen because it's not me, obviously.
Yeah.
But the spleen is checking for health and wellness and correctness. yeah, health and wellness, I feel, and yeah, instinct. So your instincts are sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why I
yeah.
feel like sometimes emotional beings at first may not trust me. My
Mm.
medicine can be sharp and it's not for everyone. It's you either ready to receive. So that's with my, ego center defined, right? I can be very, I know people may feel they look at me and be like, oh, she's like forceful or she's strict. And I'm like, not really, but like, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of that accountability energy when you enter my field that I would almost expect it. And again, learning about other authorities
Mm-hmm.
help me to like adjust my style, right? Because again, you know, coaching can be
Mm-hmm.
masculine and rigid, so that really helped me. But I found that, yeah, some people would find me quick and they would be like, how do you know? Or like, why are you so quick to answer? But for me, to your point, is
Mm-hmm.
instinct. And then the visual, the inner vision, I see that too. And then I try to explain
Mm-hmm.
to them, and then it kind of lands. But emotionals may not trust me at first if they don't know about human design.
This is such a beautiful example of human design, I guess, integrating or just, what is the word for that? Yeah, here's what I say. Before you learn some human design, you're being you. You're totally in your boss. Defined ego, it's a very boss energy. Boss, boss, boss. Others, when they look to you, have you on a pedestal, wanting to be you. And like you said, when they're in your space, they're amplifying your energy and they really feel like they are as powerful as you. Now, we are all equally valuable. Let's just put that out there. But we are all wildly unique. And so most people are not going to, most people don't have a defined ego. Most people are not splenic. We'll just leave it at those two for now. But most people don't have that instinct and that will. And so you, as a facilitator in your space, getting to know so that you can adapt the way that you are, and even your expectations, or your one of the words that stood out to me there was accountability. That's an ego word. Like, as if someone tries to hold me accountable, they are not going to be my friend anymore. Like, I don't have that. Yeah. That's gonna hurt me, and knowing that you can adapt. I mean, that's just so simple and profoundly impactful, and that brings me to my last point I want to make about you. You are a manifestor. We are 8% of the population, and you are impactful. And I want to there's something else coming through here. You are not here to try and impact. You are, whatever you do, going to impact whether you like it or not. So when people come into your space, yeah, I would say make sure that their authority is ready for it. Listeners, get your authority on point, because when you're in this space, you're going to be impacted. That's just the mechanics, it just
Yeah.
is. So yeah, how powerful.
Thank you.
How's that
Thank
feel?
you for that.
Yeah.
I received that. I feel powerful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, universe.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that I kind of get preachy about that is because that is a very big miscommunication, I would call it, within the human design kind of online mind candy space. That manifestors are here, like, you better get your shit together and start impacting, because that's what you're here for. Like, that message is out there. You Google manifestor and there's a whole lot of fucking hype about it that actually puts manifestors, yeah, it does not help. It's not serving.
Yeah.
It's not about being the biggest and the best impactor. You don't have to be. It's just that your energy, it moves in a certain way. When it moves correctly, it impacts amazingly. When it moves incorrectly, it hurts people. Cool. Get to know that. Move correctly. It's pretty fucking simple.
Oh, wow. I love it. Another thing that's coming through, I love that. So I think Kat mentioned that you're a manifestor as well. You're emotional and splenic. We're both manifestors. What could go wrong? Right? With other manifestors, I feel like it's either love or like, bitch, get out of my way. It could happen, right? That, especially if someone is not following the authority. I never had that with you. I guess we're just quite different. But one of my clients, she was in a group right now, Anor, shout out to Anor, and she's moving into human design right now. Like she's always been interested in it. She's starting to study that. And one of the things she told me in one of our private conversations, she was, I usually find manifestors to be very unpleasant to be around. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I wanted to ask you, do you think that it's them, to your point, we can be angry, right? That's our not self theme. We could be angry. It's a closed, like repelling aura. What is, or is it the bad rep that we get online? What is it that people, especially those in human design field, where they're like, yeah, no thanks. I don't want to hang around with you.
Well, I mean, I very much just want to speak to the mechanics because that's just where the truth lies. For sure, we are, like you said, we are dense and repelling. Our auras are dense and repelling. So immediately, when the other types can't get through aurically, this is a physical bubble that is around each of us. When we have a generator, a projector, or a reflector wanting to kind of come and connect with us, and they aurically can't because there's no getting, you can't get into this. We are completely self-contained in our little work bubble. It's so funny. I watch this happen all the time. Generator comes over and goes, oh, wow, you look nice, and wants to have a conversation with me. And even if I'm saying, hey, yeah, I'm willing to have this conversation, they're walking away going, oof, I wonder what was going on with her. Because they couldn't actually tap in and connect. So is that relatable? Yeah. So there's that, but then there's also the fact that generator came and sat down and started talking at me means that I'm going to be angry because you can't walk towards a manifestor. Manifestors are the ones that have to be the mover, the first. It's absolutely true. And I mean, a bit insane to think about if I'm thinking about your new people listening to this, but I do this a lot with this aura experimenting. If you put a manifestor with a blindfold on in the middle of a room and you put other types walking towards them, they're going to start raging. They feel impacted by being walked towards because that is initiating. So manifestors, before they come into this knowledge, they're so used to a frequency that's consistently aggravated that they don't notice it that much. But of course, it's always there. So the generator comes and sits down, and the manifestor is here, and they've got a certain level of fuck you coming out of their aura because they just got initiated. Yeah, we come off as bitches. It's just how it is. Just a big shitty not self scene. Yeah. And if we are actually being the ones that move first in all ways, we're the most peaceful people on the planet. And it is, like anger gets such a bad rap, right? I mean, it's the only emotion that you can get locked up for. Like, it's pretty freaking intense to have that as a theme in your life, really. And it is actually purposeful, though. It's not like, oh, I'm a bad person angry. It's like, you're hurting me, so I have to get you out of my way. Mm-hmm. That's the mechanic of it. Like, you just came at me. Like, that's not how I operate. And so it's it's far beyond the mind. It's not something we're choosing to do. You come at me, my body starts getting like a PTSD response. It needs to bounce you off. Yeah. So I guess, when we speak about anger, there's this part of me that, when I first heard manifestor anger, I was like, I'm not angry. Like that's, I don't want to own that, that sounds bad and nasty and like I'm a bad person.
That's what they do in certain spiritual fields, right? They would completely suppress or reject parts unpleasant.
And it's not trauma, and it's not an inner child problem or anything. It's just you came and sat next to me, and my body doesn't do well with that. I'm not a generator. Simple. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating. I also I'm mindful not to make it like a manifestor show because I know we're both could talk about this forever. Well, yeah. Whether you like it or not, we were just decided to go there. I something that we spoke about briefly before we started recording is the feedback that I was sharing with you that I get from people who are new to this world, or they're in spiritual healing world for so many years and they still tell me like, oh, I find human design so inaccessible. It's either they find it complicated or they're confused with all of the sources and resources out there on the internet and so many teachers saying the same thing, like not really living by design, so then they don't trust them, right? What do you think that's about? Why do people, like even myself, you were my key to human design that unlocked it for me. And for the longest time, I would check my chart and be like, yeah, okay, fine, moving on. So what is it, do you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, there's so many weird places I could go with this. I mean, human design, yeah, human design is a body of knowledge, right? And it came through a guy from a voice. I mean, it's pretty out there. Ra Uru Hu kind of, I don't want to say channeled because it brings up kind of conjures feelings of love and light, and it wasn't love and light. It was a download. My perception of the voice is like that it's Earth. That he conjured the Earth. There is, you can actually go on YouTube the voice Ra Uru Hu and look for yourself. It's weird. And he had a very clear way of making sure, and God, I can't tell you how many times I've heard him say it, that it's an experiment. It's an experiment where we have a bunch of knowledge that we can practically experiment with to find our truth. I kind of set that up because then what you end up having is a bunch of people finding their truth, and some of them teaching their truth. Right? Yeah, I mean, Ra, when he was alive, he set up the International Human Design School to try and keep the original knowledge clear. Like, these are the mechanics, go find it for yourself. And humans are humans, they learn a little bit, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. They learn a little bit and they run with it and teach it to everyone. And, maybe it's part of their process of digesting it, or maybe it's their mind that jumps in. Like, humans just be humans. And I don't really want to judge or bag anyone out for it, but I will say that the human design, like the International Human Design School, is still teaching and still holding a standard for what it's worth. And some people have trained with them, like myself, and we teach their curriculum to hold it to this most original state possible. And there's so much other stuff going on as well. Yeah. You just got to choose for yourself.
I feel like you're trying to be diplomatic now, even though I think you would probably go even harder in this because
I could totally bitch about it for sure if you want me to. But I mean, yeah, the reason that I don't know if I'm being diplomatic. I think it's more that I'm being like, what it reminds me of a little bit? It reminds me of like religion. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, so we have a source energy we might refer to as God. And then humans started worshipping it. And then humans built churches and called them one thing and called them another thing. And now we've got humans fighting about what is the source energy. like God or source or light or however you perceive that to be is fine. It's great. Is love, like I have a connection to that. But humans created religion and fucked it up. Like, it's the religion human part of it that actually is difficult and has caused so much pain and chaos. And there is a similarity for me, I see. Okay, we have the original information, and then we have this stream and that stream, and da 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 da. My advice is just what resonates. I mean, it's a frequency. It's a fractal thing, some we're taking in the light through completely different crystals that we each are. So if you happened to, in the perfect timing that we met, resonate with me. You finally got, oh, this is what it is. And you share that in a way that I hear all the time from my people. Oh, I finally understood it. Because the way that it comes through, but the way the original knowledge comes through my system is my frequency that, yeah, is 4-6, is mutative. I mean, I can use all the human design language, but basically it's reaching people at a very beginner level and helping them be practical with it. That's the way that I see. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I speak about it. I can tell that I speak about it, and like you said in my program as well, like I'm really managing to reach people at that beginner level. That doesn't mean that what's going on the inside is not all the depths of the knowledge. I can see that I actually feel like it's not such a skill as it is an art. Okay, like I can feel the light coming through me. It's a particular fractal color. This is how I perceive it.
Oh, wow.
When then it comes through my one channel, which comes through my voice, and those words are actually coming out because of the pressure you're putting on me to say what you need to hear. Like there's a whole science behind the way that comes out. And yeah, I don't know if that's answering a question. Everyone's doing their unique thing at the end of the day. I would say though, yeah, I'm going to finish that by saying, yeah, like if you have confusion about where you want to learn, and you're at the beginning of your journey and you're not feeling tuned into your authority to choose your teacher, then absolutely choose someone who has who is certified by the Human Design School. Yeah, that just does seem like once you've got your authority down, then you'll be able to choose whoever the hell you want because you'll know what's right for you.
Yes.
But that's school, that foundation that exists for a reason. Yeah.
I love that because you put it in a beautiful way where you're like, well, if you're confused, I would recommend this. But at the end of the day, if you find a teacher and your like authority is like, hell yes, you should go for that because clearly there's something there for you. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
And I want to say a bit more there actually. And if you're halfway through their course and you have your authority say, oh, actually, no, then that's okay too. Yeah. I mean, this work, human design, is about your authority, each person's uniqueness, and learning human design is part of that. It was the right teacher for you at this time. Yeah. And yeah, it's a bit of a mad one. Yeah, carry on. I don't know how well.
No, yeah, I know. I love that. I think it's exactly what me and the listeners, whenever they are listening to that, it's exactly what we need to hear or reaffirm. I find that another piece that's really interesting, what you mentioned briefly here when you were speaking, is how basically you had access to, say, International Human Design School. This is what you resonated with. This is what you're channeling, but it's still going through your crystals, your system, right? And you are also responding with whoever is in front of you. And you may say the same thing completely different. I find that happens to me as well, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to write that down. Like I've never said it like that before, right? Because is that play. And again, my system is a little bit different than yours. But having said that, I feel like a lot of the times I hear, because most of the people that would come to work with me are I call them like baby light workers. They're not baby light workers, but they're the ones who are in the corporate, in a really sort of homogenized world, whatever the word that I learned from you.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like, I feel like I'm really called to help the planet or the people. And I'm just starting out. This world is so new, so different. I don't know where to start. I feel like I'm the bridge for a lot of people because I'm in both worlds. I'm very grounded, but I'm also speak the language of, I understand the gifts that people have. And a lot of them are extremely concerned and worried about the growing self-help. What was it did you call the not self-help industry in your course? When you were like, this, I don't know, was it the not self-help?
That sounds like me. Yeah.
I remember I laughed so much. But basically, this industry is growing because there's a growing need, because we are going through a huge change as a planet, as a collective, as a species. So obviously we need more guides And a lot of people look at this growing industry and they're like, there's no space for me. I feel like it's saturated now. Everyone is a healer. I'm like, well, I guess maybe, you could say that, but also there's a bigger need. However, even if you take the same subject, like you with human design, the way that you will be channeling it or talking about it, the frequency of your voice, even all of it is going to land with the right people. And right now they might be looking at all the other teachers of human design and they're not resonating with them, just like me. Like I looked at all of them. I'm like, okay, well, good for you.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a question of authenticity, I think. That's what's coming through me right now. It's like, absolutely, it is not a saturated market because no one is you. I mean, God, that sounds so cliche, doesn't it? But I mean it. I mean it. Like it's definitely my experience or my knowing. I don't know. Here's what's just coming out of my mouth is that, I mean, our number one job is to clean up our own frequency so that, I mean, so that doesn't actually matter, to be fair. But clean up your own frequency and then see what happens. Because when you've got a clean frequency, I mean, the way that the human design talks about it is then you find your fractal, is the way that Ra would say it. Then you find your fractal. So you have this beautiful, clean crystal, they're all polished up and ready to find its fractal. And he spoke about things like, there being your fractals just waiting for you to be clear enough, for you to be yourself enough, so they can actually hear, like you say, the tone of your voice, the way that you show up, the words that you choose. There's people waiting for all of us. And there'll be different people than probably anyone expects because we can't choose that with our mind. But no matter what, start with cleaning the crystal. It's a question of authenticity. Can you be who you truly are so that your people will find you? And honestly, it doesn't even need the so that. The rest just magically happens. But we can put it in there. That happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like I talk about authenticity as well. And I also talk about alignment, but that's kind of like alignment for me is following my authority, right? That's alignment for me.
Totally.
Yeah. So when we're aligning, I feel like we will be exactly where we need to be. We will have the money that we need to have. And like it's almost like you and I spoke about that. And when we were working together was like, you'll always be taken care of if you follow that, right? Because you gave me even some beautiful examples of like, say, projectors who are all waiting to be invited, and then they're always taken care of. Your partner, you told me about stories where people just give him things and offer him things, and he's like, hey, thanks, or like, no thanks, right? You just need to sort through it.
That is, I mean, this is, I loved speaking about this actually, because it still blows my mind when I see this happen. It's true. I mean, this is in the knowledge. This is what Rouse said. Like, just to really land this and reiterate it, if you are in your strategy and authority in the right place with the right people in the right timing, there's no way that scarcity is a thing. There's no not being taken care of. You will have everything that you need. And, I'm not talking about like woo-woo abundance manifestation stuff. I just mean, you're not going to feel scarce. You're going to know that you're in exactly the right place and the right timing with exactly everything that should be, that you were born for. Like, the question the question of like monetary value and abundance in that way is in the mind. So strategy and authority just takes you the question away altogether, and life just feels fucking amazing. Or we get a whole new perspective on that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That was really powerful. I feel like, a lot of people I feel like need to hear that. And also, can I just tell you, like, I'm just having like out of body experience right now. Like as I'm recording this, is like I so enter your I guess your emotionality because I'm open, and like my head is blank. I'm like, I don't even know what I wanted to ask. Like, what are we talking? I would just want to sit here and be quiet. Like, this is so wild. This is such an
That's
interesting
real.
experience.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah. I
that.
mean, you're totally mechanically correct that that is my emotionality. And I wonder if that's also, I mean, that's, yeah, so funny, isn't it? Not to beat up myself, but like clean crystal. And you're asking all the hard hitting questions. Manifest it, emotional impact. This is what my design does.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's cool to note that because I mean, everyone, I feel like everyone who's listening to this has probably looked at a body graph at one time or another. And whoever is listening right now, wherever you are, just get that the body graph is the map. And there are two maps right now, you and I, that are intertwining, impacting each other, doing what they do, one amplifying the other and the other way around. And this is real life, how it works. It's not just a thing to look at on your screen. It's a holy shit, Kat brings this frequency that is doing a thing to your open solar plex. Yeah. And other things are sure, let's say. Yeah, I mean, what's obvious to me in my body is that you're splenic. And so I feel safe. And I could do this all night with you because you just feel safe.
You don't.
Yeah, I'm not going to want to jump off. I don't have a consistent sense of safety. No, I don't have a spleen. I don't have definition in my spleen.
What does that feel like?
It feels like well, it feels like I don't know what to be afraid of.
Oh.
And yeah, like it really is inconsistent fear. Am I supposed to, where you go, oh, not this way.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not a good thing to eat, or that's not the place to, I don't know that. I've only got my emotional authority to tell me, like, does it feel okay in here? Well, I don't know yet. It's and the open spleen is very clean splenic definition feels like almost parental, like safe and warm and like, oh good, I'm safe here. Very, very hard to let go of. The not self of the open spleen is not being able to let go.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, this is the one where abusive relationships lie. This is the like,
especially for women, right? Because we want safety, right? So if say a partner has a defined spleen and safety,
yeah, these are the domestic violence where the woman has a real struggle and can never leave. That is a definite addiction to a definition of a spleen. I have that story in my experience. It's just so obvious knowing the spleen now, and the benefit of this knowledge is, oh, I'm addicted to your spleen. Hang on, but my authority is telling me not to be with you. Got it. Can do. Got the awareness of that now. Without that awareness, yeah, that's a real thing.
Can I ask you a personal question, and feel free not to answer that? Like, because I know, because I know that one of your sons, I think he has a defined spleen, and the other one is emotional. Or
not emotional. I have a defined spleen and an undefined spleen. My undefined spleen authority is ego. So I have this. Actually, get to your question and then we'll see which bits are relevant.
So I'm just curious whether you sense that, and maybe you don't want to talk about it, totally fine, but like I wonder if you sense that more safety around, say, the son that has a defined spleen, like the way that you interact with them, like you sense that too, probably.
100%. It's very, very obvious. I wonder if, I mean, I have a story about that. I'm open to sharing. So their dad I was in a domestic violence relationship with him.
I'm sorry.
It's such a long time ago now. It's fine. It's like really interesting to unpack those. So what I have a story that I actually used to share in a powerful way, like as a motivational speech before I knew human design, where I had my second child and I had this big realization in the birthing room of, I can't be in this relationship anymore. This is like, I'm not going to let my child go through this.
Yeah.
And that is what the experience was. And then when I learned human design, I realized that that child has a very defined spleen. He also specifically has the gate 50, which is about responsibility and like this kind of preservation, like holding the family together kind of a vibe. So mechanically, what was happening in that room was I was feeling the clean, wonderful safety of this new baby spleen, and I managed to leave his dad like 6 months later.
Wow.
I didn't need the dad's spleen anymore. Yeah. And it's super obvious to me, in my navigation with my kids now, it's super obvious to me that like my younger one is definitely the one I just want to tuck into bed with. Like, can we just snuggle? And the other one's like more like the responsible dad figure, like rah, rah, rah. He's got the ego. I'm like, that's just so, yeah, it's all there in the mechanics.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's fascinating. I love that. Yeah, because obviously, when you have your authority, you don't even know what's the difference. You just like navigate without authority. And
everyone has that.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, it's not just me. Everyone has that. But it makes sense because I feel like, again, when I work with people, probably even though I have forceful energy, that's why people feel safe as well to open up with me, or like feel safe to be guided by me, even if they know nothing. I only do online work. They literally book a call, they check my energy, be like, yeah, sure, I trust you to lead me. That's huge. Like, that's a big responsibility on my end, but also a lot of trust on their end. Right.
Yeah, spleen
Yeah.
is very,
thank you,
very safe feeling. Yeah, thank you.
So we've been recording for like, I think nearly an hour, and I haven't even asked you one career related question. Do you mind? And I feel like now
I'm here for it.
Now I feel when we are in the space, I don't know if this is my mind that's telling me. I think it's my mind telling me that the questions that I wanted to ask you, it would be dumbing down everything we just said. And it's almost like I already know what you're going to say, but I feel like I still want to ask on behalf of some people who are listening to. Does that make sense to the podcast?
I feel like it's really important that we reach those people.
Yeah.
So let's do our best,
Okay.
like we're just going to be ourselves, but let's hear the questions.
Okay.
See what I
got. One of the questions that for those maybe as well who are a little bit newer and maybe they just learned their profile, their type, their authority. Sometimes I get this question is like, based on my type, my energy type, and my maybe profile, could you already guide me or tell me roughly what career direction would be aligned with me? Or is it Wild Wild West and there's no way to tell, right? Because I remember when you taught me, for instance, like, projectors, they're about the other person. A lot of the times we'll find projectors in the roles where they're listening to others, the therapists, the coaches, they feel comfortable with that feels home for them. Have you noticed the patterns in terms of like types, profiles, authorities?
Yeah, I can speak to it very generally, because ultimately I can't tell anyone what their authority is going to make them do. And yeah, let me speak to it as deeply as I can. Generators are the life force of the planet. They are here to do the energy work, the building of the thing. So they are here to respond, probably mostly to a manifestor that says, hey, do you want to build this with me? This business, this company, this family, this whatever it is. Hey, do you want to do a thing? Is kind of the cry of the manifestor. The generator says, and if they have that then their sacral energy is going to be able to follow through on building. So yeah, working with something that you are responding to. And then projectors, they are here to guide or to be the advisors. They are here not to work. Very important. The conditioning is we're all conditioned. Well, they're conditioned to be generators. This is a generator world built for generators. Projectors not to work. I mean, that can sound really full on in the beginning. What do you mean? They're here to be the experts, the guides, the advisors, the consultants, the therapists, yeah, they're here to really be studying and retreating and resting, and then potently guiding or advising. Like they see things that none of the rest of us know deeply, how deeply they see. Still surprises me to this day when I really probe into what a projector can see. And then we have manifestors, which I kind of touched on there. Our manifestors are impactful. So, I mean, manifestors are here to follow. I mean, we're kind of told what to do, in all honesty. We are very close to the force, and the force says, hey, do this through our authority. Well, it doesn't really help in a career way. Let's see. We're here to start things. We're here to say, hey, I've got a vision. This is what's coming through me. Do you want to build it? And advisors, can you guide the builders? We're here to say, hey, I see what's coming, or this is the beginning of a thing. It's here it is. Start things, initiating. Yeah, I guess that's pretty good. I'm trying to think of everything needs starting. I guess the thing actually, something that's important to share about that is they're also not here to follow through on that thing.
Which ones?
So manifestors, the manifestors, yeah, the manifestors are here to go, hey, let's do a thing. Then everyone rallies to do it. And then the manifestor goes, okay, I'm going to bed now. This is a real lesson for manifestors, because we're taught that we have to finish things. Manifestors don't have to finish things. They can, build a thing, then sell it. Build a thing, then pass it on. Start a thing, then get out of the thing and do something else.
Well, I feel that so deeply in my body, because I feel like, again, you mentioned that, I think projectors and manifestors we've been taught, or what's the word, conditioned to act as generators, right? And have consistent energy, which we don't. And you and I would speak about sleeping out of aura, especially for projectors and manifestors, right? The one reflectors as well, of course. And I feel like we've been conditioned to be like, you start, you follow through, you finish things, and you move on to the next one.
Isn't that funny? I mean, it's so obvious that the spleen is going to say something that the mind is going to revolt against. Like whatever our authorities are, our mind says, are you fucking serious? Stupid. Or that's not going to make money. And that's a wonderful trick of the mind to bring money into it. I guess I also want to share there, non-sacral people, so people who are not generators, we are in this sacral conditioning that is saying you have to follow through, you should have energy, you should be able to work. But generators, they are conditioned to be manifestors. You should be able to start something, just do it, just go, just jump off the cliff. You're actually playing a really beautiful role in pushing people off the cliff, because when generators say, hey, I've got an idea from my mind and I'm going to start a thing, they're not going to be satisfied with building that thing. That's not a response. That's going to leave them frustrated. So see how we're all just kind of like, we could fit together so perfectly and be a functional society or even a functional business or a functional family. But what we mostly are is trying to be who we're not, and it's not working. It's frustrating. It's angerizing. It's exhausting. And and I didn't mention reflectors, and I'd like to, because they do exist.
They're like these magical fairies that we're graced with, like, every now and then.
I've actually had a real influx of them in my life recently. All of a sudden, I'm like, wow, what do you mean 1%? It's most people. But reflectors, traditionally, I mean, within their aura type, they are here to sample. So they are here to be the ones who are, I want to put this in, I've got a good one. Like how are things going? They're the ones that would come into a business and test out the systems. And how is this all happening? Does it feel good? They're like the canary in the cage, or the litmus paper. They're the ones that can tell, what is this frequency good? Is this a yes? So yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing and super adaptable and potentially very conditioned. So they do need our support. But
Very conditioned and very confused. Like the couple that I came across in my practice who would need career change support, a lot of them are just like, they're like, they can be everything for everyone and anyone. And at the same time, none of that is there. So I feel like, yeah, deconditioning is, I think, probably the it's big for them. Also, like open projectors as well. I had a couple of them, but for reflectors, and I'm thinking of like a really powerful one. I don't know if you're familiar with Teal Swan. She's a reflector, and I feel like she does that so beautifully, where she would look at the world because she has those psychic abilities, and she'll be like, this pattern is unhealthy. Like this is, if we continue down this path, it's almost like, I think you also said, like they're checking for the health of the society, of the world, of everyone around, and they can really reflect it back to us.
Yeah. One of the things that's always been that I've kind of always had in my awareness is whenever I run events, if reflectors show up, it's kind of like a good sign. It's like, okay, like they're the ones that are really amplifying and feeling the frequency of what is happening everywhere. So if I have a reflector in my event and they stay, I'm like, all right, I'm good. Really? I mean, that is, I think Ra might have said the same thing. But most recently, I ran an immersion event here in Australia, and we had a reflector, and she stayed. And I was just like, and she was beautiful. And it was, yeah, really, it impacted me. I was like, yeah, that is how it works. Like the mechanics don't lie.
Oh, mechanics don't lie. We should tattoo that. A good tattoo. Can I ask you another practical question just to bring it back to the reality as well? Because that's a question I get, and you had answered that question to me privately, but I feel like it would be powerful to hear. And maybe we can use some examples here. A lot of generators. So I feel with manifestors, it's easier for us because we're allowed to initiate. We're allowed to be like, hey, I have this course. Hey, I have this program. Or like you do, I saw on social, hey, I'm doing a thing. If you resonate, if you want, come join me or help me or whatever it is, right? So it's easy for us to comprehend. It's like, okay, I can initiate, I can lead. Now, a lot of generators will tell me, but Vilma, what does it practically look like when I'm building a business to follow my authority of responding? What does it mean for my content? What does it mean for the offers that I put out? Because it's like, in terms of collaboration, I understand. Maybe someone invites me to the podcast and I can follow my authority and be like, is it a yes or no? And then I get it. Right? I'm responding, or with projectors inviting, but what could that practically look like? Maybe we can give an example in a business setting.
Yeah. I mean, it is tricky because when I feel like you can hear this, and probably your listeners can too. Responding, just to be clear, is like responding to everything, responding to life, like responding to, all right, you want to have coffee in the morning, so maybe you can walk to the kitchen. But someone, if we were really, really correct, the correctness would say, waiting for someone to say, do you want a coffee? And then your body saying, aha, which it might not, and then being able to make the coffee. So when we do this and we kind of go, it's almost like a mental hack to say, how does this work in business? And of course, when you are in business, or there is an offering or something is going on, my best advice is to respond. And it's not to respond to your mind. A lot of people are doing that. Like, do I want to post right now? No, that's not going to work. You really, here's a practical solution. Find yourself a projector partner, even if it's just a projector to ask you yes/no questions on a daily basis, because you cannot respond to yourself. And the way that your sacral actually works is in response to the other. It coming from outside of you is really important. So, all right, you've got this grand plan and all these ideas, and of course you have, because that's what minds do. Write them all down, invite a projector, make sure you recognize them, and invite that projector to ask you all the questions about what is going to happen in your business, what you're actually going to have energy for doing. Like, I really want to make that clear. It's not just responding because it's like the right thing to do. It's responding because that's how you're going to have a satisfying business. That's how it's going to work. You're going to have enough energy to actually do it. But on a daily basis, it's yes, no questions. Is it time to speak to this client? Have someone ask you, okay, I have the energy for this right now. Is it time to take a break? I mean, obviously you're going to get unknowns. There's and and then there's I don't know yet. But finding that, projector, here's a little hack that I don't know if I should share really, but I did have a generator tell me recently they were asking ChatGPT to ask them questions, which, that's the world we're living in. I would have a person ask you first, do you want ChatGPT to be the one that asks you questions?
That's a good one.
Right? But business is just part of life, isn't it? And for satisfying generator lives, is the answer, is the yes to how am I going to spend the energy? I don't know. And there's one more piece. And you just don't know what's going to happen, and you have to be okay with that.
Ooh, yes, amen.
I should be posting today. Am I supposed to post today? How about now? What about the next day? You're going to have to ride that. There's something else that needs to happen. So, yeah. It's not going to.
So it's like deeply what you're talking. I love that. So what you are demonstrating so beautifully, that or whatever it sounds, the sacral sounds. For those even generators, not everyone knows that they have those. And learning how to. We were experimenting with sacral sessions that you taught me with my group, and they really loved it. And I think we continue to do that with each other or their partners. And they say, like, especially now that they are noticing those around them, they started noticing the sounds in other people, other generators.
That. See how practical that is? Like, how friggin' simple and practical. This is the bit. This is where I'm so passionate. This is so it for me. Like, it's so how your body operates, and then just operate it that way. You know? And the mind's going to say the opposite. And it's for every area of your life. Of course, it's for business as well. It's everything.
I love that. I love those. Checking in with your sacral and listening to the sounds. And it's true for all of us, right? Listening to the body, see what the body is doing, see what the body wants to do. Where is it taking us at all times?
Yeah. And if you're emotional, clarity is going to come over time. So if you're an emotional generator, it's going to be, today it feels like a yes, but I'm still going to wait till tomorrow and feel it out. Then I'll get another question, like patience. Like the correct thing is what we say in human design. Sometimes that can sound kind of, I don't know, something, but the correct thing, there's no getting out of it. Your body knows. So it's going to feel the best. It's going to be the best. It's going to be the thing you're supposed to have. So for God's sake, follow it. Yeah.
Surrender and trust. I feel like we struggle with surrender. A lot of us letting go of like the mind, the control, the pressure points that we have with our root and our head. Speaking of which, I feel like I have a last question and I feel pressure to ask it. And I don't know if that's one of our pressure points.
I'm getting my nearly enough. My sacral's nearly saying enough is enough. So
I'm sensing that too. Yeah. And again, maybe I will get you passionate about it, maybe not. But a lot of the times, again, I'm speaking for the general public who Google things, and they're told that in order to find your purpose, alignment, right, you need to look at your crosses, right angle, left angle, cross, and they usually will tell you what I know, Kat is rolling her eyes.
I didn't mean to.
No, but like, you know what I mean? Like, even I asked you, right? I said, like, listen, a lot of people, like, I think I have a left angle cross of Endeavor. I don't even know where my cross is anymore. But like, and people will look at it and be like, oh, my is service, so I'm here to serve. Like, they take it so literally, and there are so many websites and explanations of what that means. But people look at it when they're lost and they want to find their path. What do you have to say about that? Because I know you have things to say.
Oh, I do. You knew this would get my passion. Wow. I mean, hang on. I mean, I've mentioned it already, right? I love the mind candy. Mind candy. So in the original teachings of Ra Uru with this original knowledge, there is no fucking way in hell he would have been sharing with people their cross. The reason people share it is because the mind likes it and people are trying to impress other people's minds. And it's like, cool, look what oh, I want to find out more. It's open head and ajna. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, maybe that matters. Like, I want to be certain about my path. It's not helpful. I mean, the truth of it is actually it's not helpful. It's not practical. It's not helping you. Like, oh, yeah, I mean, I'm quite sure that, I'm quite sure. It's totally dropping in. Ra used to say that crosses should not be revealed to a person until after 7 years of experimenting. 7 years, which is the cellular cycle, right? That is the 7-year deconditioning process, is kind of what we're all, what the biggest impact happens in that first 7 years, let's just say. So, I mean, yeah, this is what's obvious to me. We start diving into what that cross means, then our mind can go, oh, just like you said, oh, I'm supposed to be here for this. And then it starts trying to be there for that. Now, what that's doing is that's ripping you off what that cross really means. Because that cross is completely outside of anything that your mind can perceive. So your mind's trying to hack the system, assume it knows what it means, and then create that. See how that's just bullshit? What the truth of the system is that we follow our strategy and authority. Stuck record, but it's because it's fucking true. Follow your strategy and authority, and in time, as you decondition because you're in the right place with the right people and the right timing, then it reveals itself to you. And if you've tried to hack it before it gets to reveal itself, then you're stuck on what that means. You're never going to have the awareness. You're never going to see it be revealed. And for me, I feel like that's devastating. That's ripping people off their experiment. That should not be talked about. That's the sort of thing people are doing with human design now. And it's fucked. I'm not going to lie. That doesn't feel good to me.
But thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, because if you, like, to your point, the mind candy, we want the answers yesterday. We want to know it all. We want to understand it. And that's when we latch onto that. But your point, and I think you told me so beautifully when I was like resisting to so much of my design, but I guess it's common. I don't know. Like, I was just resisting to, I'm like, I don't want to be a 5-1. Hitler was a 5-1. So like I would just read all this bullshit online and I'd be like, that's not nice. I didn't like my cross either. But what you said, like, it doesn't even matter as long as you follow, to your point, strategy and authority. Like, you're gonna get there so automatically, and then you look back and it will all make sense. But even if it doesn't, who cares? Like, it's not even about that.
Yeah. I mean, human design as a daily practice, like human design is like, all right, I've opened my eyes. It's the morning. What is my authority saying? Like, this is the quickest or the most efficient, the cleanest way to integrate this knowledge. It's not like, oh wow, I can know all this stuff about myself so I can use it to like make a presentation about what my future is going to look like. Like, that's fucking ripping yourself off. It's not just shit and wrong, but it's actually doing you a disservice. I mean, I don't know, one of the things that I do for people sometimes is help them make a little notes, like to keep them tuned in with that authority. Like, what is, for me, it's, am I in the mood? Stuff like that. Am I in the mood for this? Am I feeling juicy about doing this today? Like, does this feel, what different ways that we all tune into our authority become kind of the mantra and the new normal as you practice it. So wake up in the morning. How does my skin feel? Like, for you, like, what am I envisioning in this moment? How can I fully tune into myself and run my every minute according to who I am, and then just watch my life change, not try to make it different. Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful. I feel like I wanted to, because my spleen has already finished this recording. She's gone. So I feel like you're probably sensing that too. I wanted to ask you for some. I wanted to ask you for the final words, but I feel like these were kind of perfect final words.
That's perfect. Yeah. I do feel complete. I just feel gratitude for you having me here to use my voice. You know, using my voice is part of my authority. So me doing this is exactly what I just said everyone could be doing. Mm-hmm. So just thanks for initiating. Thanks for informing me that you would love me to be here and do that. It feels really good to me. My body feels tingly and nice. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for teaching me, for guiding me, for showing me, for just being you and embodying this frequency. Because above all, it was for me just your energy and what it felt like. It's going to be so fun. Mm-hmm. Hopefully for all of you to listen. I'm definitely going to listen to this as well. I feel like there is so much golden truth that you've just shared with us today. And usually I would say, oh, I wish we could have covered more career stuff. And today I just don't care, because I think that's exactly what we needed to speak about. So thank you.
Pure impact.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending time with me today. If you enjoy this content, please make sure you subscribe to this podcast and leave a quick review to help us share the message of aligned work with the world. And if you'd like to learn more about how to find and transition into your very own purpose-led career or business,